love the chase and the hunt, and I set the pace when I'm running. I always.
Good afternoon and welcome back to yet another edition of the Coach's Corner. And I am Walter Beede, affectionately called Baseball Lifer 11 on Twitter. Here on our YouTube channel, Baseball Lifer. What is a baseball lifer? 60 years of participating in the sport of baseball as a toddler to a young athlete, high school athlete, professional athlete, ultimately becoming a coach at the high school and college level, but most importantly, as a dad. So I've lived everything as a parent from Little League all the way up and through the big league. So welcome aboard. If you like our content, want to ask you to do two things. One, subscribe. So we want to kind of hit a home run here. We want to make sure we're getting a subscription. And then if you like it, like and send us some comments so we can answer your questions on future broadcasts. So today we have Doug from Chicago, Illinois. Welcome aboard, Doug.
Thanks.
You're welcome. And wondering how old are your athletes, and what type of questions do you have for us today?
So yeah, my son, I just have one. He's 15. We're starting high school this year. Of course, short-term goals to make the high school team. But he's on the smaller side, height, weight. Really appreciate the story in your book about how you helped one of the kids to bulk up and to get noticed by the college coaches. So my question is really about the camps that I'm starting to get offered that have coaches, college coaches there, and they're marketed as teaching, but also kind of exposure. Basically, when is the right time that we should be looking into these camps? It sounds like a good experience. I don't want to go there and just hear feedback that he's undersized and things like that. Would they look past that and say, come back next year and look for improvements? What kind of things are they gonna offer? Is it better just to wait until next year or the year after?
Well, Doug, this is kind of a question that I get asked quite a bit. And one of the things that I explain to parents, it's really important before you attend that first camp to get yourself physically prepared, not only for the college level, but the high school level. And so what we really want to do is, this time of year, we get a lot of college letters. We get a lot of emails. We get a lot of what I call snail mail from Stanford and Virginia and Texas and other local colleges. And a lot of times, while I am a tremendous advocate of the college camp because it is more instructional based than it is showcased based, I always let parents know it's best to wait on the college camps until such time that you have a tool or a skill set that is going to become noticeable and a separator within the crowd. So the first hurdle that you really want to kind of begin to address is the high school baseball team, whether that's JV or varsity. So when I start talking, smaller student athletes, stature isn't really measured in baseball with height. Obviously, Altuve, Pedroia, one of many back in my day, Freddie Patek. It's the strength of the Altuve, Pedroia. They boy, and they swung in the middle of their lineups. But yet, if I was to put them next to an Aaron Judge or a Stanton, they are going to look small, but they play big. So strength and caloric intake, they play a very large role when it comes to younger student athletes. And so while you might not be able to get into that 6'3", 6'4" window, you can get into that strength window. And so you're going to find yourself leaning more towards finding the right strength trainer and making sure your resources are kind of geared towards the strength, the nutrition, and getting prepared to be a high school varsity athlete. And then once you've established yourself as that high school varsity athlete, at the next point, now we want to start to go out to these camps. When we know we have a speed tool, a ball strike tool, an elite glove tool or defensive dynamic tool. Now we want to get to those camps because now we're going to really learn. And being in Chicago, very similar to Boston, the cold weather, Midwestern kind of environment. Out here in the Northeast, we deal with a lot of really cold, early spring months that aren't really conducive to baseball. And so what you really want to do to kind of compensate for that lack of being outside is, okay, how can we gain an edge on those boys that play in warm weather climates and get a lot more reps? Well, it's the strength component. We want to use, as I allude to a lot in several of these videos, we want to use those 168 hours a week, and we want to incorporate, at least 1 hour a day with regard to some form of strength training or skill set development, as well as, now, for instance, how often is your son eating? Like, does he eat a big breakfast? What's his biggest meal of the day?
I'd say dinner, definitely trying to get some type of protein, a steak or at least a chicken in there.
So the big thing is when most student athletes at the high school level begin to do strength training, they neglect the gasoline in the engine, which is your caloric intake. And so, yes, protein is the big buzzword, but I also tell student athletes and parents, we want to kind of start to keep a journal, a caloric intake journal. And that intake begins the night before. So at night, we want to get a protein that is time released for mass gain. And what we want to do is we want to make what we call an all everything shake, whether it's Oreo cookies, chocolate chip cookies, ice cream, chocolate milk, whatever it's going to be to taste good. And I'm a big fan of Athletic Greens, which is something that can be purchased on Amazon. But you want to make that shake, drink half of it 30 minutes before going to bed. And then in the morning, we want to take the other half of that and we want to add that to our breakfast. And our goal is to try and get the 1,000 to 1,500 calories before we go to bed, and then the same 1,000 to 1,500 calories before we head off to school, if possible, or at least by 9 a.m. Every day, because those extra calories are what are going to help us gain size. With the size comes the strength, obviously. So what we want to do is we want to make your son create a separator, and one of the easiest separators for college coaches to notice, but more importantly, high school coaches to notice early in an athlete's career, is strength, discernible, serviceable strength. So I would focus more on that this time of year than I would on camps or showcases, because really at this point, the way the world is right now with regard to college baseball recruiting, they're only looking at older, more physically developed student athletes. So the sooner that you can start that with your son, the more dividends it'll pay. Now, what other positions does your son play? What positions does he play?
So, and that's part of the other question I have too, is he's a pitcher, he's middle infield. So we're spending a lot of time, doing fielding drills, pitching drills, obviously hitting drills. He's a really good hitter too, but where's the best way to spend that time? Obviously academics is a big part of it too. And my son's high academics, targeting more of a college that would be high academics in the long run. But, obviously what you're saying is the strength and weight is a big part of it. There's a lot of drills out there too. Where should we spend our time?
Well, a lot of that has to do with, let's start back with the academic piece first and foremost. Mm-hmm. The best schools in the country that offer the most bang for your buck I always tell parents that the Division III level academically, overall, top to bottom, offers a really strong academic package, whether we're talking Emory or any of the NESCAT schools, Bates, Bowdoin, Amherst. We could go to Pomona Fitzer out on the West Coast. Those types of schools, the better academic you are, the more opportunities are going to present themselves for you as a potential college student athlete. So that's topic number one. Topic number two, regarding positions. Typically, if I'm a right-handed thrower and I'm under 5'9" or under 5'10", if I'm not throwing 93 or above, not going to get a lot of opportunities at the higher levels. I want to be at least throwing 85 miles an hour if I'm going to pitch at the college level as a right-handed pitcher. Typically, that's kind of the barometer. So if we're a student athlete and we know we're going to be a middle infield / center field candidate, meaning we know we're not going to be that big corner bat, big power bat. We don't catch. And, you know, pitching, we have a good arm, but that arm can service me well because I have either good foot speed or I take good routes and take good angles. So as a middle infielder or a center fielder, two things we want to become proficient at: playing catch, as much catch play as possible. We underestimate the value of understanding how to receive a baseball off of your right foot as a right-handed thrower and being able to get into that throwing position quick. We also want to begin to throw balls off of a wall. We want to throw different balls off of a wall: golf balls, lacrosse balls, baseballs, super balls, anything that we can kind of learn new movements. I'm a big proponent of the eye-hand coordination with like the Hiko sticks, anything where you can focus on the colors, catch the red grip, catch the blue grip, do it with your backhand, do it with your forehand, doing it with your left hand. And you're starting to learn skill sets that are going to separate you at the college level. As far as hitting is concerned, one of the biggest things that I see that creates a negative kind of foundation as a hitter is we spend too much time swinging our regular bat. For instance, every time I do a repetition with, let's say, a 29-32 or a 33-30 bat, after a period of time, my hands and my arms are going to fatigue. So therefore, any repetition that I put into my body isn't a positive repetition. So the positive repetitions can come from as simple as a broomstick that you cut down to 29 inches or excuse me, 32 inches or 33 inches. Put some tape at the handle. More importantly, put some tape at what would be the barrel of the stick and start hitting rocks and acorns. Heck, I saw a video today on Twitter with a young man hitting bottle caps being shot at him with a slingshot. So think about that for a second. I can take 1,000 swings with the broomstick, and swings 1 through 1,000 are going to be the same because I'm not causing my body to fatigue. So that eye-hand component, whether you're using rocks or acorns, bottle caps, little white plastic golf balls, and he doesn't need you or a coach. He can go out into the backyard. He can go into his bedroom and hit white golf balls, the plastic golf balls, obviously. You can hit pinky balls, but anything that allows hand-eye coordination or consistent ball strike skills to be developed is a great resource. So if I was looking and I was watching your son and I saw that he had good, quick feet and he had good, glove, his feet took him to the baseball. He had good hands, he had soft hands, and he had a good arm. I would say to you, okay, on top of the hitting, play catch with the football every day. Get your arm strength better. Get your arm strength to the point where whether you play left side of the infield, right side of the infield, outfield potentially, you have a good, strong, aggressive arm. Anything like that is going to help separate your son's skill sets from the rest of his peer group. And what age does he play travel ball, Doug?
Yeah. So we're getting ready for fall ball here, 15U.
Where does he hit in the lineup and where does he play?
He hits to the top of the lineup, right? So he's one of the faster kids, gets on base, line drives, in the gaps, more of that kind of style.
So if that's the kind of player that he is, the top of the lineup, tells me he has some foot speed. The number one thing you want to do is accelerate the learning curve with regard to fielding, throwing, catching. So in other words, a lot of middle infielders neglect those tagged plays, how to catch and not reach for the ball, how to let the ball travel and then drop your glove. Little nuances like that are going to get your son on that grading scale a little bit higher and put himself in a little bit more presenting himself in front of the college coaches to have a little bit more of a different, unique style of play. And the earlier that he implements that into the game, the more comfortable he gets, the more recognizable his skill sets will be.
Excellent.
So I want to say thank you, Doug, for joining me today. I really appreciate your time. I hope your son has a great fall. Anything that you ever need from me, just send me a message on Twitter. I know you already do that now because you've done that several times in the past. But even if it's as simple as sending me some videos, I'm happy to kind of give you some thoughts on it and some suggestions with regard to maybe some drill work that might be able to help polish up a few areas of his skill sets.
Excellent. Really appreciate it.
Doug, I thank you for joining us today. Thank you for another edition of Coach's Corner. We look forward to seeing you next week with another edition. Until then, put a comment down below. Let us know how I can help you, and we'll answer every question that comes in. Thank you, Doug.
Thanks.